Sister Silverine, Ambassador Extraordinaire of PAIN, Parental Alienation Awareness International Network, and we are talking about From Pain to Healing, where we're going to have a series of talks on Sundays from 5:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Sankhya TV. Thank you.
So, Sister Silverine, thank you once again for joining us or sitting with me and having a conversation about a lot of deep spiritual matters, but in a relevant sense to the world today, to worldly things. Now, in a previous episode, we were speaking about the individual, the masculine and feminine energy, and we were speaking about some of the traits. We left off last time with some of the traits of masculinity and femininity. Now, you had mentioned in the last episode as well that it is the source of conflict in relationships when there is, let's say, too much masculinity or probably too much femininity, when there's a misbalance or an imbalance. Now, can you elaborate for us what in terms of masculinity and femininity, how conflict arises in the relationship?
Of course, yeah, sure. So let's take a look at a couple. Let's say a couple, and the husband has more feminine qualities than the wife, which means even though he is the male aspect, between commas, he is very dependent on his wife. Means he expects that his wife should also earn and take care of the family, and he is just there as a male figurehead, but not necessarily taking up the role as a male figurehead, because he is more inclined to the feminine aspect instead of the male aspect. And you do find people like that. But his problem is not only after marriage, because there are many examples where parents are seeing that their child is growing up and they know that they have a boy child. But when this child starts growing up, they see that this child start liking to play with dolls instead of playing with guns, for example. Yes, I have seen it. And the child like to dress up like girls, their daughters, instead of dressing up like boys. And this little child, boy child between commas, like more girl stuff. So they'll play with the doll house, and the things that the girl children would like to play with. So for them, this child is a strange child. So this child growing up, even though he is in a male body, his mentality, his way of thinking is more feminine. And he thinks even more in a delicate way, that I am a girl. He is thinking that he is a girl. Thinking, speaking, acting, seeing others as though he is a girl, he is feminine, and everybody else, or male, whoever is male. So he is growing up with this mentality, but others are seeing him as a boy, as a male person. But whilst he is growing up, everything in him, his voice starts changing, the way he thinks starts changing, the way he dresses starts changing. There are so many things in him starts changing that starts giving others a completely different vision of this boy child, between commas. Because he is no longer acting and thinking and speaking as a male individual, but more as a female. It simply shows there that the feminine aspect, feminine qualities and nature, sanskars of this individual is more dominant than the male aspect. Simply says that. It has nothing to do so much with the physical body, but what is happening in the mind of this individual. So in this individual's inside, within him, in his mind, his thoughts, his feelings, his emotions are all more feminine than masculine. And so because he is thinking everything in a more feminine way, his feelings, his emotions, his decisions, they are all more feminine. So as he is generating that kind of energy within him, his body starts developing in that way. Do you know that you created this body that you have? This is a very important and interesting topic also. Your parents are responsible for giving you the matter, for example. But when that individual, that soul enters that body, then according to the nature, the personality of that being that entered that body, your personality starts creating that body that will eventually reflect who you are really. As soon as someone sees you, they could know what kind of individual you are. Why? Because that being within you is reflecting in your features. So however is your nature, your sanskars, your nature, your behavior, is all being shown in your features. And that has been created according to the information that your being brought into your body.
Just to clarify, in terms of what you are speaking about, in terms of the way the person acts and thinks, you are not merely referring to their sexuality or their sexual urges, because we are speaking about, let's say, a man and a woman entering into a relationship.
Afterwards,
so where a man might be more submissive, let's say, or expecting to be taken care of
course,
rather than being the breadwinner, or rather than seeking for protection of their family. They may want to be protected, even by their wife. So just for the viewers at home watching this, we are not speaking about, let's say, a man who is homosexual, but we are speaking about the men who they are not owning up to their responsibilities, but they are, like we are saying, expecting someone to take care of them, someone to protect them, someone to provide for them.
They are very dependent.
Now this sounds like it will lead to a lot of conflict, especially in a marital relationship. Can you explain then, in that sense, the situation that may arise?
Of course, sure. So here you have this individual who have this nature. It's called feminine nature, feminine behavior, thinking, speaking. And because he have this mentality, it means a weak mentality. Feminine mentality, if a man have a feminine mentality, it means he's weak. And in that weak mental state, he expects that his wife is the one who should earn and yes, be the breadwinner and take care of the family, while he, as a father, is free, liberal, and do what he wants, between commas. And of course, this will lead to a big conflict because that is not the duty of a wife. The duty of a husband, if he is a real husband, is yes to be the breadwinner as well as to take care and protect the family. Be the one who is, I am the boss, for example. I am the man of the home, so I should take that responsibility. Means the man is the one who should, let's say, we have to go on a drive. We're going for a tour or what do you call it, drive out, or beach. the man is the one who should be driving the car. But if you have the female, the wife instead driving the car, and the man sitting enjoying himself on the other side, then what you will call that individual? Who is the father of the home? Who is the man of the home? I'm not saying in a case of, let's say, emergency and the husband is not able to drive the car, that she should not drive it. But it clearly shows who is really, let's call it the man of the home, or the male leader of the home. Who is really that individual who is supposed to really take care of his family in such a way that he should be called the man of the home, the head of the home, or if you want to call it that way. Who is the head of the home? Is it the wife or is it the husband? So it should be the husband in most cases, in all cases. The one who is the husband should be the head of the home. But if you have here the one who should be the head of the home, thinking that the mother, the wife is the head of the home, and he has to depend on her for everything, then that kind of dependency, where he is dependent on her for even his meals or everything that he needs, then that will bring lot of conflict in homes, in the family, wherever this is happening, with an either or. Either or means it could be either the female thinks that she's the boss and she's the one who to do it, and then and make the man feel, well, he's nothing. And that will also lead to conflict. And here you have the man who thinks that, well, the lady is the one should do it. And then she will think that, well, he is worthless. Why cannot mind a man here in the home? I know how they speak in this in colloquial language here in Trinidad. So who really is the man of the home? Is it the wife or is it the husband? And if the wife is playing that role, then what's the point of having a man in the home who cannot play the role of a man in the home? The head of the home, for example. So these kinds of, let's call it, thinking and this kind of nature of individuals, of course, naturally leads to conflict, and big conflicts also. Because there is no clear understanding of why is he thinking, acting, and reacting or responding in this way. Means he just sit down there and expect the wife to give him food or fulfill his needs. And he is the man of the home. So who should be that individual? Should take up the responsibility and really see that family goes, or the home is working well because the man of the home is moving, is working and doing. So yes, these things do lead to conflict. And again, I would repeat what I repeated in the previous episode, is a question of understanding yourself. Each individual should sit back and really reflect, on themselves. Who am I really? What am I supposed to be doing? What is my role, my responsibility? Not only in the family, but also in the community and in the world. So a lot of reflections, self-reflections, meditations are very important.
Why do you think a lot of people do not reflect? Why is it that our lives are too busy? Is it that we have not been taught while we were younger that we should reflect, let's say as part of our education system? Or is it that culturally, in the West especially, it is not seen as something to be done? Why do people not reflect?
Yeah, I think it has become cultural now. Cultural in the sense that we are brought up in a society where we are just told to work and enjoy life. Work, eat, enjoy life. Work, sleep, enjoy life, and that's all. So no one ever really taught us that we should take time to really reflect and think about our spiritual growth. No one tell us those things. No one. Oh yes, they say go to church, fine. or go to the temple or go to the mosque or wherever. So when you go there, what you do? You pray. You say prayers, and the prayers, everything is external. But no one really teaches us, how to go and see ourselves internally. Why? Because it is not, let's call it an education that is being taught in the world today. These kinds of journeys are more journeys that individuals seek for their own spiritual growth. It is not something that is out there at your reach, for example. No school teach you those things. There is no institution out there or university to teach you that. But here, this is what we teach you. In Brahma Kumaris, this is what we teach you. How to sit down, how to reflect, how to find yourself. And then allow yourself to grow. Self means you, the individual being, not the body. Here it's not a question of the body, but the being, you. And so, yes, so culturally, there isn't this kind of education out there. No one teaches you because it never existed before. Now, because the world has reached this stage where there is a lot of spiritual needs, actually, where people are seeking for something different, something that they were not taught before. Because no one ever tell you, okay, Omkar, you go to school but learn to be happy. Or there is a school that is teaching you how to be happy. There is no school to teach you how to be happy. There is no school to teach you how to be at peace. There is no school teaching you how to live in harmony, for example. Which means they are not teaching you how to live a life of values. Values means where I can apply all these beautiful qualities and values that I have in order to have good relationships. For example, in a relationship, we need harmony. We need unity. We need cooperation. We need peace. We need happiness. We need love. All of this. These qualities are not being taught in school. And that's why our society has reached a point where there isn't this value system anywhere. So no matter how much money someone has, how much wealth or how much name or fame or position or status in the world they have, they're still not happy. They're still not at peace. They're still not contented. They still doesn't know what is to live in harmony with anyone. So these values are not being taught out there. So this is the reason why these kinds of programs are so important, where people can get its time to sit and reflect. Reflect means that I take a time out to just think about what is happening in my mind. Just learning to see yourself inside and see what is happening with you. Why is it happening with you? Why am I in conflict with someone else, for example? Why am I not at peace with myself? Why am I allowing situations, circumstances, and external factors to disturb me in such a way that I am not at peace? So reflection, sitting and reflecting is so important. It's just as it is important for me to drink a cup of coffee in the morning, reflection should be just as important, because this is what is going to create my entire day. How I prepare my mind in the morning is how I'm going to create my day ahead, just as how my coffee is important to me. So reflecting, and daily reflections should be like your cup of coffee in the morning.
Well, I'm glad you drew that analogy that it is important as the cup of coffee, because my next question was, what would you say to people who say they don't have the time for reflection, or they are too busy? What would you say to those people?
I think those are the people who really needs it the most. Because there is a saying, if you want something done, you ask a busy man. Have you ever heard? So busy man does not mean that he is always busy doing something, but this busy person gets things to make himself busy. So he's always doing and doing. So if you want something done, yes, you ask a busy man. Why? Because he takes all of this, whatever you want him to do, to make himself busy. Whereas those who say they don't have the time are those who really waste time. You know why? Because there isn't priority. People does not know where to give priority to. And so let's say you have a prayer meet and you invite people to come to this prayer meet. You may share 100 invitations. 20, 30, 40 people might come. You call a party, and how much will come? This one want to bring his friend to the party. They will bring their friends and family to the parties because there they are going to enjoy themselves externally, physically. And for them that is happiness. So, in the prayer meet, they are going to learn how to find peace, for example, how to find themselves. But that, for them, is not important. Why? Why is not important for them? Because they think that they're not learning anything there. Because they have been to many already. They go to the yagyas and they go to puja and they do so many other things that they feel that is enough. But really sitting and thinking about themselves, they don't have that time because for them it's boring. Many people think it's boring. Some people, even when they sit, they tend to sleep. And they say, no, I'm not going there, that is boring. Why is it boring? Because I sleep away. It was so boring that I sleep away. I slept away. Why? Because the human mind has been like set in a certain way to only think externally. So everything they do have to be external. Their happiness must come from some external source. And that is what they believe. They believe that to party and to sing and dance, enjoy the music, whatever, everything external will make them happy, give them the happiness that they seek or they want. But if your happiness is dependent on any external factor, then you will never be happy. Why? Because if that external factor is cut off, then what will happen to your happiness? For example, if you are dependent on every evening you have to go to some party, and one day they decide that you're going to have the party, then what will happen to your happiness? Oh, that day you cannot rest in peace. I cannot stay home in this house. I must go somewhere. You're boring. You cannot stay home in the house because you are accustomed going out to party. So the day there isn't any party, you are lost. Because this is what you had been accustomed to. This is what your mind has been trained to do. So because we have never had that kind of teaching, that upbringing, that okay, we need to take time for ourselves. We should not have to be even told that we have to take time for ourselves. Each individual should know for themselves that they need time for themselves. To sit down, to reflect on their own life, reflect on the day that they had. Sit down for a few minutes with your family, discuss matters and issues with them, get things resolved. Many people does not know about these things. And even sitting and thinking and reflecting and being with the family is one form of healing also. Just talking about, like your day, for example, today, how it was. You sit with your wife or your husband, your children, and each one share how their day was today. Is a form of healing for each individual. Because simply sharing in the family, sharing ideas, sharing views, sharing your problems, for example, You have someone to listen to you in the family. Your wife listen to you, your husband listen to you, the parents listen to their children. Children listen to their parents and they learn. So all of this kind of sitting, reflecting, discussing, conversing is a form of healing. And this program of parental alienation is a program designed to help us to heal. So all these factors are so important. Reflecting, having these family gatherings and discussing their issues, all these are so important towards healing. So now I invite you into a small meditation. So I ask you once again to sit in a comfortable position and just relax yourself for a few moments. And for the next few minutes, I am going to think about myself. It's only me and me alone. And whilst I think about myself, I ask myself, how am I internally? Am I at peace with myself? Am I happy with myself? And whilst I reflect, I begin to realize that because of some external situation, my mind was disturbed a lot today. And that simply means that I was not able to mentally and emotionally deal with whatever came to me. And so because I was not able to deal with it, I allowed the situation to get into me in such a way that the rest of my day was disturbed. But as I think and I reflect, I begin to realize that whatever is happening within me, it's not only because of others, but because of me also, myself. I understand that I need to prepare myself mentally, spiritually, and emotionally to handle any external crisis as it comes. And so to make my mind, my feelings and emotions strong, I need to give time to myself. I need to sit and reflect and see for myself, why am I allowing external situations and circumstances to disturb my mind? And there I begin to realize that I am simply weak. I am emotionally weak. I am spiritually weak. And this is the reason why I get disturbed. But in order to make my mind strong, I need to give time to myself. I need to sit in solitude, go within, and come into touch with my inner source of light and power, and use this practice to enhance my inner powers and my inner strengths. And as I enhance, develop my inner strength and my inner powers, I will be able to prepare my mind, my emotions and my feelings for any situation that may come to me. Thank you and Om Shanti.
Join us globally every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. on Sankhya Television as Parental Alienation Awareness International Network, PAIN, presents Ambassador Extraordinaire Brahma Kumari's Sister Silverine Mangru with the series From Pain to Healing.
This program is sponsored by Sampex Limited, networking societies for a better future.